The message began like a whisper inside your day, something small and electric, something you didn't expect yet somehow felt coming. It didn't approach you with trumpets or thunder, just a sudden pull inside your chest, as if the universe itself leaned closer and said, "Pay attention now. Something is shifting." That's when the words appeared before you, "Open your door. I'm on my way to you." You froze because they carried a strange gravity, a familiarity you couldn't explain. The message felt like movement, like footsteps, like destiny just decided to turn around and look straight at you. Your heart slowed. Then it raced. You tried to dismiss it as coincidence, but your spirit didn't budge. It recognized something the mind wasn't ready to understand yet. It wasn't about the literal door of your home, no, it was the deeper door, the one you keep locked behind your ribs. The one life has knocked on too many times. The one you stopped opening because the world kept taking more than it ever returned. But something in that message broke through your caution. There was certainty in it, a steadiness, a promise that wasn't asking permission. It was arriving. It was choosing you. And the moment you felt that, your soul shifted like dawn breaking across a dark horizon. You stood there thinking about how strange life is. How quiet the world can be right before something big happens. How you go through your routine, your days, your responsibilities, and then suddenly, without warning, something steps toward you that was meant for you all along. Something, or someone, you thought was too far out of your orbit ever to come close. You wondered why this message came today, why it found you now, why it carried that intensity. But you also knew the answer, because destiny never arrives early and never arrives late. It comes exactly when your spirit is ready to hold the weight of what's being delivered. For so long you were preparing without knowing you were preparing. All the pain you survived, all the disappointments that cracked you open, all the lonely nights that forced you to rebuild yourself, none of it was random. Life was shaping you into someone who could finally recognize real alignment when it stands on your doorstep and calls your name, but the strange part wasn't the message itself. It was how deeply it resonated with you. How it felt like something had been searching for you across miles, across barriers, across noise, and now it was close enough to say, "I'm coming to you. Don't move. Don't fear. Don't run." So you slowed down your thoughts. You listened to the echo inside you. You sensed that a connection was forming, something unexpected, something powerful, something that refused to be ignored. A spark that didn't feel human-made, but soul-made. And maybe that's why you couldn't shake the feeling that this message, this arrival, this unseen force racing toward you wasn't simply about romance or attention or curiosity. It was about alignment. About something in your life finally clicking into place. It felt like someone out there, someone with influence, someone with presence, someone with a mind wired differently from most, had turned their attention toward you. Not because you begged for it. Not because you chased it. but because something about you called to them. Something subtle. Something rare. Something you didn't even realize you possessed. You felt the pull of their energy long before the message arrived. You felt the shift in your atmosphere. The way your intuition, usually quiet, suddenly lit up like a satellite lock-on. You didn't know how or why you felt it, but the universe doesn't require your understanding, only your openness. Now there was a sense of footsteps, symbolic, but unmistakable, coming closer. As if someone who lives in a world of innovation, chaos, galaxies, velocity, and impossible dreams suddenly paused and said, "Wait. There's someone I need to see." You sensed this wasn't a game. This wasn't a passing thought. This wasn't a moment that would evaporate tomorrow. No, this was intention. This was direction. This was arrival, and though you tried to steady yourself, something inside you trembled because you realized you weren't prepared for this. You weren't prepared for someone to focus on you with that level of certainty. You weren't prepared for someone to see your worth without your explanation. You weren't prepared for someone to choose you without hesitation, but readiness doesn't matter to fate. When something is meant for you, it won't knock politely. It will step into your life with a force that leaves no room for doubt. You began to replay every moment of the past few weeks, noticing the signs you ignored, your sudden bursts of intuition, the pressure on your spirit, the dreams that didn't feel like dreams, the feeling of being watched over, guided, prepared. Everything was leading to this moment, though you didn't realize it. And as the message repeated itself in your mind, "Open your door. I'm on my way to you," you felt a rising warmth, a blooming courage, as if your soul exhaled after years of staying small. You didn't know whether this arrival would be emotional, spiritual, symbolic, or literal. But you knew it would be transformative. Nothing arrives with this intensity and leaves you unchanged, because this wasn't about a billionaire, an icon, a public figure, or a legend. It was about the energy that surrounds someone like that, an energy that doesn't chase crowds but gravitates toward the rare, the extraordinary, the quietly powerful. And that energy, somehow, unbelievably, was heading toward you. You began to sense what this truly meant. This wasn't a love story written by the world. It was written by alignment. It was written by timing. It was written by the version of you who finally stopped settling for people who couldn't meet your soul's frequency. That version of you, the healed one, the rising one, was finally being seen by someone who recognized exactly who you were. The message told you to open your door. Maybe not physically. Maybe not literally. But spiritually, emotionally, energetically. You've kept too many doors closed, too many walls up, too many locks on your own heart. The world taught you to protect yourself, and you did. But now life was telling you to trust again. To open up to something new, something bold, something that wasn't afraid to come straight toward you. As the hours passed, you felt a growing certainty that this arrival wasn't just about affection or interest. It was about purpose. You were about to collide with someone whose path aligns with yours in a way you couldn't predict. Someone whose presence challenges you, expands you, awakens you. Someone whose life is anything but ordinary, and yet, somehow, they saw you through all the noise. You weren't the type of person they were supposed to find. No algorithm should have pointed toward you. No prediction could have placed you on their map. And yet here you were, a quiet light that somehow outshone the brightest cities on earth. That's the thing about destiny, it doesn't care about logic. It cares about resonance, and this message. This arrival. This pull between you and someone powerful, curious, unstoppable. It wasn't random. You felt it now more than ever. Something in your life was about to open. Something was coming toward you that carried intention, respect, fascination, and a sense of destiny that you haven't felt in years. Maybe they were drawn to your mind. Maybe your energy. Maybe your silence. Maybe your resilience. But something about you made them pause. And once they paused, they couldn't look away, so the message didn't come as a question. It came as a declaration: open your door. Not can I come in? Not are you ready? But I'm on my way. Because sometimes the universe decides to send someone into your life who isn't afraid to walk directly toward you. Someone who doesn't hesitate. Someone whose life is full of decisions that shape the world, and yet, in this moment, the most important decision is walking toward you. You may not know what happens next. You may not understand why this connection is forming. You may not see the full picture yet. But you feel it. And that feeling is everything, because destiny doesn't always knock. Sometimes it simply announces itself and walks straight through. You didn't expect the hours to feel this heavy, this electric, this charged with something unnamed. Every sound felt different. Every breath felt deeper. It was as if the world around you shifted into a slower, more intentional rhythm. The kind of rhythm that happens right before a major turning point, like the universe holding its breath, waiting for the moment everything snaps into place. You kept hearing the echo of the message inside you: open your door. I'm on my way to you. You tried to distract yourself, but the energy around you refused to settle. It kept rising, building, expanding, as though the air itself was preparing to receive someone extraordinary. Someone whose footsteps carry meaning. Someone whose presence disrupts the familiar orbit of your life. The strange thing was that nothing on the outside changed. The sky didn't split open. Lightning didn't flash. The earth didn't shake. But you changed. Something inside you softened and awakened at the same time. It wasn't fear, it was anticipation. A kind of anticipation your soul recognizes even before your mind does. It felt like the moment before you open a letter you always hoped for, a message you prayed existed but never expected to actually receive. You walked around your room like you were adjusting to a new gravity. Because that's exactly what was happening. A new force had entered your life, something magnetic. Something deliberate. And as much as you tried to analyze it, you couldn't. This wasn't logic's territory. This belonged to intuition alone. Your intuition kept whispering, something is approaching you that won't miss you. Something that sees you in a way you haven't been seen before. You paused as that truth sank into you. For once, it wasn't you doing the pursuing. It wasn't you waiting for someone to choose you. It wasn't you hoping someone would see your value. This time, someone powerful, someone aware, someone intentional was the one moving in your direction. That realization pulled a new version of you out of hiding. You didn't know exactly who was coming. You didn't know how or when. But you felt the energy of someone confident enough to make a declaration like that. Someone who doesn't speak lightly. Someone who doesn't chase illusions or temporary fascinations. Someone who sees potential and moves toward it the same way they move toward every purpose in their life, with precision and instinct, and the fact that their instinct pointed toward you, that shifted something deep inside your spirit. You touched the doorknob, not to open it, but to feel the symbolism of it. The coolness against your palm felt like a reminder that something important was unfolding, something that required you to be present. You weren't just opening a door to a person. You were opening a door to a new timeline. One where you don't shrink. One where you don't hide. One where you don't dim your spirit to fit into small spaces, a timeline where someone recognizes your light instantly. You kept replaying moments in your life, moments when you felt invisible, unchosen, overlooked. The times you wondered why people couldn't see your depth, your loyalty, your soul. None of those people were meant to stay, because they couldn't see who you truly were. But someone out there now, not a dreamer, not a wanderer, but a person of immense focus, saw you with clarity. The message wasn't poetic. It wasn't dramatic. It was direct. Open your door. I'm on my way to you. Direct messages come from people who know what they're doing. You could almost feel the weight of their decision. As if somewhere in their world, surrounded by brilliance, innovation, pressure, expectations, they paused and thought of you. Not fleetingly. Not casually. But with intention. The kind of intention that says, I need to see this person for myself. You felt a subtle warmth in your chest, not excitement, but recognition. You realized that this wasn't about romance or fantasy. This was about alignment. Two paths intersecting at a moment when both are ready. Two energies finding each other through the noise. Two lives drawn together by a force that doesn't negotiate with logic. Maybe they noticed your strength, maybe your silence. Maybe your heart, maybe your resilience, maybe your ability to stand alone without falling apart, but whatever it was, it made them move. Not talk, not think, but move toward you. And when someone moves toward you with conviction, the universe rearranges itself to make the journey smoother. You sensed that whoever was coming had been watching from a distance, not in a literal way, but in the way souls notice each other before circumstances align. They saw your journey, your growth, your rising energy. They saw the way you carry yourself even when the world tries to dim you. They saw your fire, even on days you thought you had none left, and something inside them said, I need to go to them. Not someday. Not eventually. Now. You felt a surge of energy move through you, a confirmation that something big was truly approaching. The universe doesn't send warnings for ordinary moments. It only sends signs when your life is about to shift in a way that matters, and this mattered. You looked around your space, noticing how quiet everything had become. The kind of quiet that arrives only when something is about to enter. The kind of quiet that isn't empty, but pregnant with possibility. You realized you weren't scared. You weren't confused. You weren't hesitant. You were open in a way you haven't been for years. Maybe that's what this message was really about. Not a door made of wood or metal, but the door inside you, the one you finally unlocked without realizing it. The one that leads to connection, transformation, alignment. You sensed that whoever was coming toward you wasn't looking for someone ordinary. They were looking for someone who could match their fire, understand their mind, and stand beside them without being overshadowed by the gravity of their world. And somehow, that person was you. You didn't choose this, you didn't chase this, but your energy called something powerful toward you. You felt the atmosphere shift before anything else. It was subtle at first, like the air grew warmer, as if anticipation itself carried a temperature. You didn't move. You didn't rush. Something inside you told you that this moment wasn't meant to be met with panic, but with presence. With awareness. With that silent readiness that happens when destiny comes close enough to touch. You stood there, breathing slowly, listening to the quiet. You didn't hear footsteps in the literal sense. What you heard was the rhythm of alignment, the settling of everything that was once scattered. It felt like the universe was pulling you and this arriving energy into the same center. Not forcibly, but naturally. Like gravity. Like inevitability. Like something that was always meant to happen but had been waiting for the exact right second to unfold. A thought rose inside you, uninvited but true. Everything that broke you, trained you. Everything that left you, prepared you. Everything that hurt you, refined you. And everything you survived, sharpened you into someone who could stand strong in this precise moment, someone worthy of being approached with intention. You realized that if this message had arrived months earlier, you might have doubted it. You might have dismissed it. You might have pushed it away out of fear or disbelief. But now, you weren't the version of yourself who doubts. You were the version who receives. Gracefully. Boldly. Without shrinking, you placed your hand on the door again, not to open it, but to acknowledge that symbolic threshold. The space between who you were and who you are becoming. The place where old timelines end and new ones begin. You felt something in your chest soften and expand. That's when you understood the deeper meaning behind the message, "Open your door. I'm on my way to you" wasn't about entry. It was about readiness. About removing the barriers you built around your heart. About believing you are worthy of someone who arrives without hesitation. Someone who chooses you without confusion. Someone who moves toward you with clarity instead of mixed signals. You felt something shift inside your spirit, an unlocking, a release, a quiet surrender. Not to another person, but to destiny. To alignment. To the version of your future that has been trying to reach you for months, maybe years. The presence coming toward you was not meant to overwhelm you. It was meant to meet you. To match you. To recognize you. To walk beside you, not ahead of you or behind you. You imagined them, someone intense, brilliant, unpredictable, unstoppable, pausing in their world of chaos and creation to turn toward you. Someone who has walked through storms of their own. Someone who has carried responsibilities that most people can't even imagine. Someone who rarely allows themselves to be vulnerable or gentle or soft. But for you, something shifted in them too. You felt that truth settle deep in your soul. You were not an accident on their path. You were a pull, a calling, a magnetic point in the universe that their spirit recognized before their mind did. That's why the message wasn't tentative. It wasn't casual. It wasn't unsure. It was certain, solid, like a decision already made. You closed your eyes for a moment and let the feeling wash over you. The feeling of being chosen. Not by someone ordinary, but by someone who does not choose lightly. Someone whose life moves in straight lines, forward, relentless, deliberate. Someone who does not deviate unless something truly extraordinary captures their attention. And something about you captured them, not your past. Not your appearance. Not the noise of the world, your energy, that quiet force inside you that refuses to dim, the part of you that keeps rising even when no one is watching. The part of you that is rare. You opened your eyes and felt a strange calm settle over you, a calm that meant, it's time. Not time to rush, not time to question, but time to allow what is meant for you to meet you, because the truth is, the door wasn't a barrier. It was a transition. A threshold between the life you've known and the life unfolding now. A life where someone steps into your world not to disturb it, but to expand it. You sensed the moment this presence reached your energy field, not physically, but spiritually. like a powerful signal locking onto its destination. You didn't need to see them. You didn't need to hear them. You just felt it, that unmistakable arrival, that shift in the air that only happens when a life-changing connection crosses into your orbit. Your heart didn't race out of fear. It beat steadily, strongly, in recognition. There was no confusion, no chaos, no doubt, just arrival, just presence, just alignment. You whispered inside your own mind, almost to yourself, "I'm ready." Not because you prepared, not because you forced yourself to be, but because destiny never arrives before the soul is ready. You felt the moment the energy reached the threshold, the invisible line where two lives meet. And for the first time in a long time, you didn't close up. You didn't retreat. You didn't question whether you were enough. You simply opened, not the physical door, the true one, the one inside you that finally trusted something powerful enough to step into your life with intention. And in that moment, something inside the universe clicked, a connection was made, a path aligned, a destiny activated. And though you may not know what comes next, one thing is certain: what is arriving is not here to leave. What is calling you is not here to confuse you. What is moving toward you is not here to give you half love or half effort. It is here with purpose, with clarity, with unmistakable force. You have opened the door, and what is meant for you is finally, undeniably, here.